Hey, good morning, guys. It is December 13th, and Chambers is in Luke 18, verse 1. And he just takes that first verse, meant not always to pray and not to faint, where he's talking about consistent prayer. And then he goes into intercessory prayer in particular. But I wanted to point out, I was reading, and I always, it's a habit. I don't know if it's a good one, bad one, indifferent, whatever. When I'm reading a passage, I like to see the context. I think that's a good thing. So I guess it's from my literature background. But anyway, um, so I went before it, and the verse right before it is a common kind of, especially people who speak I'm going to get myself in trouble, who teach a pre-tribulation rapture, which I think is, I don't think it's heretical. I just think it's wrong. Um, they like to reference this: two people, one in bed, one will be taken, the other left. Two women grinding grain, one will be taken, the other left. And I think we misunderstand that passage anyway. But it's right there. It's in the end of chapter 17, and the disciples say, "Where, Lord?" Right? They're asking about where is this going to happen, and because he's talking about the revealing of the Son of Man. When the Son of Man is revealed, this is how it's gonna play out. And he talks about the days of Noah, but he says, "Where there is a dead body, the vultures will gather." And I think there's something cryptic in that. I think there's something definitely to be understood in that. I'm pondering that. So you guys ponder it as well. There, I just threw that for you guys to give some thought to today. He's talking about when the Son of Man is revealed. This is how it's gonna play out. The one who tries to preserve his life is going to lose it. The one who gives up his life will keep it, and it'll look like this. It'll look like the days of Noah, giving in marriage and all that, and um, one taken, one left, and where there's a dead body, the vultures will gather. Okay. Anyway, on the heels of that, then he goes into why we ought to pray. Chambers takes that and runs with it in intercessory prayer. And I got to tell you, I was convicted with this today. And here's one of the reasons why. One of the pitfalls of having a busy life and having a lot going on is that people who are close to you will constantly ask you, "Hey, how's it going with the move to your new shop? How's the new building coming along? How's it?" And that's the talking point every time they see you, because they know it's absorbing your life. They know it's just absolutely absorbing. It can be this way when someone's dealing with a sickness or a wayward child or a spouse who's whatever. That's the issue. They always say, "Hey, how's it going?" And here's what happens. If you're not careful, if you're that person that's always being asked, "Hey, how's it going with the so-and-so?" You begin to believe that your issues are big and important, and you begin to disregard all of the issues of those around you, and you fail to be an intercessor. You fail to intercede for other people because your issues, your problems, your struggles, whatever they are, become so big that you believe the hype that it's all about you, and it ain't. So Chambers deals with intercession here, and it's really, really good. So he says, in intercession, you bring the person or the circumstance that impinges on you, that's kind of troubling. You see something and you're like, "Wow, that's tugging my heart." You bring it before God until you are moved by His attitudes toward toward that person or circumstance. You bring it to God and you say, "God, help me know what you would have me do, you would have me feel, you would have me say about this situation." It's a good caution not to just jump in and say, "Hey, how can I help? How can I help?" And Chambers really talks about that, how we can be a curse to people if we just jump in and help their situation without really truly understanding God's design. Intercession is put on the line of, this is how we see it sometimes, put yourself in His place. And Chambers says, never, don't do that. Don't put yourself in the person's place. Try to put yourself in God's place. What is God doing through that situation, even if it's a hardship? Whatever. What is God doing in that situation that's for His glory and their good? His glory and their good. And then don't get in the way of that. Make sure that you're effectively promoting His good, His glory, and their good. Because sometimes if we're not careful, we do the opposite. As a worker, be careful to keep pace with the communications of reality from God, or you'll be crushed. All right? Make sure that you're always understanding the situation through God's eyes. if you know too much, more than God has engineered for you to know, you cannot pray. The condition of the people is so crushing that you cannot get through to reality. That you get so wrapped up in the emotional response that you have, the human response to the person's situation, that you can't intercede anymore. All you can do is emote. All you can do is feel for that person. Intercession is the one thing that has no snares because it keeps our relationship with God completely open. So intercession is not a me thing unless we make it a me thing. And it says to God, what are you doing? Not just what are you doing in my life, but what are you doing in that person's life? And it truly is, he says, it's without snares, and I agree with that. And then down here he says, think of the number of souls God has brought about our path, and we have dropped them. And we've dropped them not because we didn't care, but maybe because we cared in the wrong way. We cared in the way a human cares, or just a fellow human being cares, versus how God cares. So, anyway, a lot there today. One more time. Where, Lord, they asked in the end of chapter 17, when he's talking about one will be taken, one will be left. He replied, where there is a dead body, the vultures will gather. You guys give that some thought and tell me if you have any thoughts about that one. And I don't think it's... we could talk more about someday about the rapture and what we think about that. It's an interesting study if you think about the teaching of the rapture. It's a fairly new understanding of Scripture that may or may not be correct. But anyway, sorry about that. Went long. You guys have an awesome day.